Yes, guys, how are we all doing? I just wanted to offer a few tips today on synthesizing some pads using Serum 2 because I just really like making pads, and I've got a few tips that I think will help you guys to help you make better pads than you previously are. Here's a little demo with some drums. This one's called the Forest Echoes pad because it's got these kind of like sparkly, almost rainforesty sounds in the high end. At least it sounds like it does. It's actually coming from some electricity. But that's one of my tips actually already, is use a bit of a natural sound, a bit of, there's great ones in Serum already in the noise section. Use some nice natural foley to sit on top, like in the high end. That's really going to give you like a really nice natural sound on your pad, you know. Other couple of tips. I'm going to do this video differently today. I'm not going to break down the patch from start to finish. I'm going to just tell you some things that I do when making pads that like I always have in the back of my mind. So another thing is have a great chord set up with your different different pitches. So this one's like it's kind of like a minor seventh chord. It's not exactly a minor seventh because it doesn't have the third, but it's sort of set up in a minor seventh-esque way, a skeleton minor seventh. So I've got the voicing at 0, +7, and +10. And there's another one down, another saw wave down here, but this one's actually an octave lower, but it's still at 0, so that's still the root note, you know. So obviously, if I did a minor seventh or something, might be more like. There's many different chords you could create. I wanted like a minor feeling for this one, but I could have done something, even different. There's many ways you can go, you know. But anyway, just choose a nice sounding chord. Sometimes it's better to start designing it and change the chord around, and sort of depending on the sound design that you've got, you'll find a certain pad might sound better in a different chord, you know. But this one, I think it sounded nice, like in this kind of minor style. But yeah, choose a nice chord basically, and make the chord out of the multiple oscillators that you've been so wonderfully gifted in Serum. Next, use a lot of Unison as well. That's definitely a great tip, because without the Unison, still nice, but just not as rich. I like Unison on 3, especially if I'm doing like 3 different types of Unison, because if I did it all on, 16 or something, can get super over the top really quickly. But 3 is quite a nice balance, especially if you've got 3 oscillators doing it. So that's pretty nice. Next, low pass filters. You don't want to have all those saw waves running through with all the high end in. So low pass filtering the pad, always super, super helpful to get that gentle feeling. And a bit of movement on the low pass as well is great. You can sort of low pass things, around 500 or 1,000 or so. And what I do is I put like a lovely random LFO to open the low pass, so it gets like a little bit brighter and a bit damper again, you know. Just using the chaos mode here. So it's nice and random, you know, just a little bit of movement on there keeps it really, really nice and natural, you know. So that's a few tips for you guys already. Nice high end noise for some natural sound. Also the having that low end reinforcement as well could be nice, like having one of the sounds like an octave lower gives the pad a bit more bass as well. Sometimes you want a bit of bass in there. Control that a bit more later. Another great tip, with your envelopes, make sure you set the attack to be nice and slow. Don't want it you don't want it starting like a pluck. You want it to come up nice and slowly, and kind of end nice and if it wants to let me play it on my MIDI keyboard, that would be wonderful as well. Yeah, nice release length as well. So it finishes with a nice tail as well. So yeah, soft envelopes, low pass filtering, lovely bit of textural noise in the high end. Nice chord, nice bit of unison. And then my next tip is a really, really helpful one, and that is to scoop out a bunch of mid-range. You can do this with an EQ, but what happens when you stack up loads of saw waves together is you'll quickly just like shroud up and cloud up all your mid-range, you know? And so you want to like scoop out a bunch of mid-range for the pad. Of course, this won't necessarily be the case like every single time, but more often than not, like 99% of the time, I'll probably end up doing this. This one's going up from like 300 up to 600. But yeah, if I take that one off, you can hear how different it is, you know? It becomes a lot more focused and a bit less boomy. Back on. Completely changes the nature of the pad and makes it, to me, more like a classic pad sound, like with that bit of a dip in the middle, you know? Or just not so much boominess in the middle at least, you know? So I use the band reject to achieve that in this case, but you could do that with an EQ as well. And again, of course, I put a bit of movement on because wonderful small amounts of movement everywhere in the pad is exactly what you need to make it really natural, you know? With the Chaos LFO movement as well, I've just done it like off the grid as well. It's already in chaos mode, but having it at the hertz means that you've got really nice smooth movements as well. Couple more tips then. In the effects, we want lots of stereo effects usually, you know. So convolvers are great for some reverb that provides extra new harmonics into the pad. Pick your preset to taste. Hyperdimension, detuning. Yeah, detuning here, detuning everything together, but just mixing that in about 30% gives it all a little bit more of an old school feeling. Yes, it's nice. It's pretty. I might title this video tips for an old school pad, maybe something like that. Anyway, yeah, dimension, this is again just a bit of width. It's already very wide, but we can go a bit wider. The idea of the pad is slow, moving, lovely, soft, wide and warm, you know, so anything that achieves that is great. Again, phaser here. Gives it, again, like a touch more of an old school flavour, kind of like the detuning did. Now this one is another tip as well. This is the taking some bass out actually. This is how bassy the pad is if I don't have this filter and it's got, you know, the sub, you know, this lower octave saw wave running as well. I go back here. Yeah, so I actually took out quite a lot of lows. So it's a bit of a balance. I sort of did it around 160 hertz. So everything sort of below there I cut, but quite smoothly. And put a bit of movement on that as well. So it kind of scoops up to 300 and back again. But yeah. If it had no bass in, it would become tinny quite quickly. So it's basically the tip is have a bit of bass, but not over the top either. Like a little bit of a low end reinforcement underneath everything, but you don't have to go crazy, is basically what I'm trying to say, you know? So like filtering a bit of bass out if you need to, if it's a bit too heavy. Finally, a few more things for extra width and interest. The chorus. Just again widening everything, giving some extra harmonics. A little bit of movement here on the chorus filter as well is quite nice. Delay, super important as well. Set quite high, around 37%. Helps to give you that sort of spread of the kind of voices, like everything that we've done sort of being pinged around to the left and the right and all blurring into each other. So it's mixing the whole pad pot in a stereo field, you know. So definitely great to do some stereo delay and mix that in. Then just a couple of things. Equalizer just to taste. If you've got any preferences at the end, I do that quite a lot. And this one. Just a touch of a brightness boost. Someone asked me recently, how do I get the EQ up? You just click the display. Click, and it shows the analyzer, you know. And finally, a bit of extra reverb. This is the big reverb. Yeah, these ones can be quite long, but the natural, not the convolution reverb, but the classic reverb, you know. So it can be quite handy to turn the mix up high, cycle through the different reverb modes, and then find one that you think is the best fit, and then just rein it down again. Yeah, bit of classic reverb to finish it off on top of all the other convolution reverb and everything else, you know, so really nice and spacey. But yeah, getting super spacey with that. But yeah, those are like some things I pay attention to when I'm creating pads. But yeah, particularly nice chord voicings, nice bit of unison, bit of slow, slowly chaotic movement. Definitely low passing those saw waves quite heavily. Definitely sculpting out a bunch of mids to get a nice softer, more warmer kind of pad sound. Using a lovely bit of texture in the high end. Boosting things up in the bass a little bit, but controlling that overall level of bass with a filter here sometimes as well, just to get that, make sure it's got just enough bass but not too much. And then a bunch of old school effects like the detuning and the phaser and just stuff to make it even a bit more convoluted and weirder, you know. But that's the Forest Echoes pad. Really enjoyed making that one, and it sounds great with a little beat as well. Alright my G's, I hope that was helpful for you guys. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about how I make pads in Serum, and thank you very much for watching. May I remind you as well, if you ever want any Serum preset packs, there are some up on my website, and I've got Vital packs as well and Phase Plant packs. And also, if you want to have a production lesson with me, you can book in via the links down below to my online calendar. Have a great Patreon community as well, with a fantastic Discord full of friendly chats and feedback streams and all kinds of good stuff. And if you guys need mixing and mastering work as well, just email me, info@artifactmusic.com, and I'll be super happy to arrange that for you. All right, that's it from me today. More from me soon. Much love.